Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 98. I'm Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Sinitsky. Hello, sir.
Hello there.
We have the doors open.
Yay.
It is actually springtime.
Finally.
So excited.
Oh,
What?
and it's 420. Springtime.
Is it actually? Oh my God, it's 420.
In Germany.
You stole my thunder, Ryan.
When I said springtime, I was going to say springtime for Hitler, but I
Yeah.
didn't have I've never actually seen that musical or play.
Oh,
whatever.
you
The
haven't
producers?
The producers?
Yeah, I haven't
Oh,
seen that.
God, it's
It's
really funny.
really good.
I know I should watch it.
They redid it recently, a couple years ago, with the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
The
kid
actor?
that played Ferris. Yeah.
What is his name? Anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter, but that would be interesting.
It's a Mel Brooks film. You gotta go see it.
At least you called it a film, not a movie, so we won't piss anybody off. Yeah, okay, so that's great. We are, you guys might have noticed we did 3 episodes last week. There is a reason for that, not just
Yes.
because we felt bad. Oh, that's Matthew Broderick. Thank you, Scat. It's not just because we felt bad about kind of shorting you on episodes the last couple of weeks, but it's to set us up for next weekend, which will be episode 100 of the Carbitrage podcast. And we will be doing one extremely long episode with, I believe, Dan Balto of
Yep.
MNCEC, and then who of Drive Cartel?
Sing Cha from Drive Cartel,
Okay.
and possibly Nuke as well.
Okay, we'll have to get them to gang up on a microphone.
Yeah,
but it
that's
should be
that's
fun.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worst case, we could use the Shure and do it.
It's not like if we got like Eamon Illist or something on as well. Then like Eamon Illist had like share like Dan or something.
That would be worse. Isn't Emin Illist that Nick dude that everyone hates? The EcoBoost guy? Nick Olson.
I don't know.
Who does Emin Illist? It doesn't matter. It's a terrible group. Nobody cares. But yeah, that's why you noticed 3 episodes last week. We'll be doing 2 this week. Just have each stop by for 30
Yes,
minutes.
and
or
we will
stagger.
be
Nah, we'll do them all at once. Whether or not I have to use that Shure microphone or just get us all around a table,
Yeah.
that would be fine too. And then we'll be doing it during the Cars and Caves
Yep.
opener podcast.
and we'll
car
have
show.
we'll have the audience and everything. So if you want to come by, actually physically be here and watch, and maybe I don't know, possibly be asked a question at some point.
Yell at us across the room.
Yeah, exactly. You are more than welcome to.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I won't be here. I'll be digging in the dirt.
Well, I guess then we'll have for sure enough microphones,
Yeah.
but have fun with your dirt digging.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Okay, I want to just start off with the. I'm not even going to do beer because I'm drinking a Kool-Aid. Nobody cares.
And
but,
I'm drinking a Wendy's pop.
Pop.
So
Get you a cold pop. Yeah, I want to plug Patreon,
Yes.
Carbitrage, so patreon.com/Carbitrage. We haven't revised any of the tiers yet, but what we're going to be doing is actually opening up the questions portion to anyone, any listener, and we'll be revising the upper tier to include some apparel once we actually get that going. The lower tier to just buy us a beer every month is still going to remain the same. But yeah, if you are not currently a patron, please consider subscribing. It will help us, help me mitigate the incredible money losses from this show.
yeah, we're still working on merch and everything, and
I just got billed for the 2nd year of SoundCloud the other day. I'm like, happy year anniversary, Carbitrage.
it's expensive. I have a fraction of what you've put into this, and it is noticeable.
Well, that's fine. I accept the burden. It's worth it. It's still fun.
It's
so.
my whole thing is like I want the Carbitrage website to be kind of an outlet for Minnesota car culture. So I want to get that on the internet. Other states, other cities and stuff. They have their own thing. I think it's time we have ours too.
Time to make them all jealous, basically.
Yeah, basically show off how rad Minnesota is. So it's gonna be at the beginning. For the next few months, it's gonna be a lot of back to the '80s stuff.
Well, I mean, it's show season. So.
Yeah, exactly. They're giving us free entry into the show for our cars if we want.
Cool.
So
I definitely have some things made in the 1980s.
Yeah, me too. That's like everything I've owned except for my van.
Which, I mean, Jana was saying, like, you need to have a vehicle that is your daily driver that's made in this millennium.
That's a new.
I really
rule.
I fought that for a long time.
I know you did.
And yes, and I'm keeping him on it. He's been like, maybe I should get this instead of the Mazda, and I'm like, nope.
See, the thing is, I'm gonna find a car that's been in production since the '80s, and just
That's-
import it like a Zamyad or something.
Oh,
And
yeah,
Jana's gonna be
Zamyad.
like, no, it has to be something that is made in this century. I'm like, honey, yeah, this was made in 2009.
No, she said millennium.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
2009. Yeah, okay.
Like, this is from
No.
2009.
The tooling was in use until blah.
Yeah, exactly. Like this tooling may have been started in 1974,
There
but
are
they still
going to
made it.
be. I'm gonna write it a legal document
No,
that
you're
has
not.
more specific rules because I know you'll try to like find
Nope.
a loophole.
Nope.
Scott just asked if we're moving the table and stuff downstairs before episode 100. The answer is I would like to, but I doubt we will have enough people here at one time to make that happen before 100. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I would really love to, but unfortunately, I don't think it's realistic. Anyway, so start off with the first topic, and it's kind of just one of my own ends. It's not a linked topic or anything like that. It's why do people buy pickups when all they need is a small car with a trailer hitch?
Because they want to dress up like a cowboy and listen to country
Is it
music.
really just like a fetish thing for these
I
idiots?
think so.
Because
Because, well, I mean, I get, like, some pickups. Like, there's some that, I really want. But, yeah, there's so many, like, if you need a plow truck, you don't need a pickup. You need, like, just something that's heavy enough to be able to push snow. So, yeah, pickup wouldn't work. A Tesla.
Right, but I mean, even like a Fiat 500, the little 1.4 liter naturally aspirated gas engine. Like, I scrapped cars on trailers with that thing. Like,
Yeah,
most people with
exactly.
pickups are like putting manure bags in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, A, you don't need a pickup just straight up at all for that.
I
But
think-
just why are some people so averse to putting a trailer hitch on their car and
Yeah.
then just like renting a trailer once in a while?
Yeah, and then it's just going to be better overall. I would say, I mean, if you're, as long as you're not fooling yourself about pickup.
Yeah.
Like, if you're buying a pickup truck because you're like, I like pickup trucks, I know it's useless, I know it's stupid, and I'm a fool for doing this,
Yeah.
but pickup trucks are cool. Like, I get that. Like, because, like, that's what mini trucks
Well, like
are.
a Raptor or something.
Yeah, or like a mini truck or something like that. Or if you're like, you know, you have like a big Cummins, like, you know, pickup.
Scott's mentioning like barriers to entry. So, I mean, modern pickups are really expensive, and then things like backing them up, which I mean, the aid of mandated backup cameras helps a lot for that now. But seriously, I borrowed the coworker's truck to go to Home Depot when we were on a sign install, and I was parking it in a regular old Home Depot parking lot between
It's
two
horrible.
cars. I'm like, I'd just swing low and sweet chariot into this spot, and I like, well, hopefully I don't hit anything.
Yeah.
Remember, if you don't have parking sensors and a round view camera, like parking one of those things every day would suck.
This is where I come back to the Toyota Yaris being an actually good truck.
You mean the April
The,
Fool's
the
pickup
April
thing?
Fool's thing, yeah. Like, that would actually be a really, really good idea because most of the people that use a pickup use it to haul manure. And it's like, my favorite thing is, like, everybody's like, well, you can't, let's see you haul a load in that. And it's like, what the fuck do you ever haul that necessitates a pickup? Like, you
Especially
don't
the
need
people
it.
that buy 3500s. Because the people that buy 3500s mall crawl with them. People that buy 2500s actually pull like horse
That's true. I was
trailers.
gonna say,
They actually get used.
Yeah.
my boss, he has a Ford F-250
Yeah.
V8 gas, but he bought that because he needed to spend $50,000 in a hurry.
Like a tax thing at the end of the
Yeah.
year or something.
That's exactly what it was. So he got rid of his two
That's a good
small
point.
pickups and then made it a big tax thing. So I think that's why you see a lot of
And
people.
that's a gross vehicle weight thing, right?
I
I believe so when it's a deductible like that.
Yeah, it's a vehicle. It's a certain gross vehicle weight, and it has to be able to like carry like a certain sized plow. But to be fair, like
I think you can
when
do it
he
even
hauls
with like SUVs.
yeah, like when he hauls scraps, like we're taking like a Touareg full of scrap metal and then a bed full of additional scrap with a plow on the
Oh
front.
yeah.
So like it's getting used. But that's the thing, it's like if people just started buying like semi trucks
Oh yeah.
just because it was cool.
Well, I mean,
And
it
you're
is
like,
kind of cool,
It is
but
cool.
it would suck to live with a semi. Like the
Yeah.
fuel economy would be. Yeah, it's actually a pretty good way to describe
Yeah.
it. It's like it's not even more practical. You'd have to put a bed on your semi, I guess. But yeah, horrible
Like
fuel economy.
The International CXT, it's down the road from here.
Yes,
down,
actually,
down the
a
main
lot
drag.
like
yeah,
the
that-
Kodiak and stuff.
yeah, well, that is literally a semi truck with a bed.
Right.
They took a semi truck and they put like an F-350 bed on it and called it a day.
The only time I'd like that is if it had a 2-stroke Detroit diesel in it.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Well, what I liked is like back in
make it
like the
interesting.
50s, GM used to make a cab over engine pickup, so you're not even like fooling yourself. Like you're just like getting
Well, I think
literally
all
a
of them
semi
did.
truck with a GM did. I'm not sure if Ford did, I know GM definitely did, and International I think did.
They did. I've seen the Ford. There are my parents' hometown, or whatever, not hometown, but where I grew up anyway. My hometown. They had a very small fire department and had a it was either late 40s or early 50s pumper truck, a water truck.
Still in use.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh man, that thing didn't sound healthy, but it was a cab over.
Oh,
And it
cool.
was like a big full-size commercial frame or whatever. It looked really neat.
That's actually really rad. But yeah, so yeah, I agree. Pickup trucks are dumb. Most people that's what I like about in Japan. They actually do make very small pickups. Like everywhere else in the world, like you get stuff like the Volkswagen Caddies and stuff are still made. They're called the Volkswagen Saviero. But no, like in Japan, Suzuki for a long time made the Mighty Boy.
Excellent name.
Yeah, it was great. And it was very popular because you would use it if you had like a gardening business.
Well, that kind
Or-
of sounds like the Daihatsu Midget 2
Yeah, it was like that. It was,
flatbed.
yeah, it was the same thing. It predated. It was between the two midgets.
Sure. Which, can we talk about just the fact that they were able to name a vehicle a midget?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, you put the Mighty Boy in between the two midgets, and it sounds like something you find on Pornhub.
We're coming for you, Pornhub.
So, but no, the Mighty Boys are actually really, really awesome because yeah, you would fit everything you need.
Did they have huge graphics on them that said Mighty Boy?
Towards the end, you could get like a
What if
thing
we had-
across the door that would say Mighty Boy and take up the entire door.
I want like Mighty Boy Mega Valve Turbo on my door or something like that. That would be super cool.
That'd be a great name.
Like a Zamyad Z24 Mighty Boy Mega Valve Turbo, all-wheel drive.
Perfect 4x4.
Just the most fitting 80s font words we can put on anyway.
Oh yeah, it all has to be made in like a gradient font.
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of Japanese things,
Yes.
so this is actually an article from Haggerty, which is kind of surprising since it's like new car news. But at the New York International Auto Show, the director of the Mazda 3 project was being asked about if Mazda would make another Speed 3, which, if you do not remember, Speed 3 is a actually really, really good hot hatch. And he actually did not decline the future existence of a Speed 3. Jan's computer is just falling all over its face, so I'm just scrambling right now to open up this link.
If you need,
There, I
can,
got it on my phone. My phone went 4 times as fast.
I'm going to go ahead and open it up on the stream.
Yeah,
for
absolutely. So
everyone
people
anyway,
can kind of like just see, you at least get what.
Boom. There you go, stream viewers.
Thank you very much.
It's got a hood scoop, so you know it's good.
But yeah, Koda Beppu. It was actually it was Auto Car Magazine he was talking to. I'm sorry, but Koda Beppu, who was the project manager at the Mazda 3.
Is he related to Buca de Beppo?
Yes. He also owns the restaurant. It's his namesake. So this is quote unquote what he said. I'm a car guy, so I myself want to drive a high performance Mazda 3. I'll do my best.
Nice.
When asked if they would make one.
That's like the least legal jargon bet hedgy thing I've heard come out of a car exec in a long
It's
time.
because Mazda's like just a small company.
I guess.
They're like a craft brewery that makes cars.
So you're equating them to Summit Brewing Co.?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Except not terrible.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, so Summit's just disgusting beer. Now, it's
They have good stuff.
if they make the Mazda Speed 3, the
Yeah.
new one,
A
it
third
it most likely would not be going to Europe. It would be going to America and Europe,
Where are the current Mazda 3s made?
Japan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but Europe's a big hot hatch market. But since they're doing a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder turbo, if they were to,
Whoa, that would be epic. That 2.5 is actually pretty punchy even at
yeah,
me.
exactly. If they were to do that, it wouldn't be able to go to Europe just because of O2 emissions. But he basically said that he wants it to be hyper and fast and still comfortable enough to use as a daily. It needs to be responsible and friendly, more friendly than a Golf GTI.
Ooh, naming names.
Yeah, so I am totally okay with the Golf getting off its high horse because the GTI these days, I'm not gonna lie, kind of sucks. Like
I mean, it's fine, but
they're
it's-
great within warranty. That is it.
I would still take a GTI Performance Pack over a Golf R.
So what he would do is, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
It's a lighter car, so...
yeah. They would likely do like a hybrid turbo thing. They
Has
likely be doing the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which is the CX-9 engine, which is 247 horsepower.
Would it be no? Okay, so the let me step back just a hair before you keep going. The first gen Mazda Speed 6 was all-wheel drive, but the first gen Mazda Speed 3 was not.
Correct.
Is the second gen Mazda Speed 3 also front-wheel drive?
All the Mazda Speed 3s as of now are front-wheel drive. But
Do you
this
speculate
new one,
that this one would be all-wheel
they
drive?
actually said it will likely be all-wheel drive.
Probably
Since
have
there's-
to be for that power.
Since there's already an all-wheel drive Mazda 3.
Really? Is that a new thing for this new one?
Yeah, they just announced. They just released it.
We're
It's
looking
really,
at you,
really nice.
Toyota CHR.
No, we're looking at you, Subaru. Like,
Well, I know I was making fun of the CHR
So-
for not having that. And
yeah,
Mazda 3
exactly.
does.
So, Subaru, I lost a lot of sales to Mazdas, and my only real like sales point that I had that was like really just a fact was Subaru had all-wheel drive and Mazda didn't. So what are you
Right.
gonna do about that?
Well, at least in the like Impreza segment.
No, I mean like all Subarus have all-wheel drive standard, and they're designed for that, as opposed to
So like
like
a CX-5.
yeah. But yeah, like the
Most of
crossovers
them
have it.
that, yeah.
But now the Mazda 3 is all-wheel drive. That kind of like what?
And the head gaskets will stay intact, which is great.
Well, the different head gaskets on the new one, so I have very little faith of there being head gasket issues in the new ones.
Yeah, but it's kind of my thing, so I'm going to keep going with that.
Okay. Anyway, so but this is the thing is that like this car now beats the Subaru in every way, and it's got active torque vectoring. So basically, the standard Mazda 3 is as good as an Impreza Sport.
So, what the system? I imagine they would take it directly out of like a beefed up version of a Mazda 3 system, where they take it out of like a CX-5.
I think they'd probably use just the Mazda 3 system and beef
Okay.
it up.
So
Actually,
is that a
no,
Haldex
I'm gonna
thing?
say
or-
I'm gonna say I don't think they would. I'm not sure how it works.
Okay.
I imagine it's probably closer. It's gonna be like the Mazda CX-5s all-wheel drive, and I guess the CX-3s all-wheel drive, I should say, because that's a crossover based off the 3, and that's where they just kind of plucked the all-wheel drive system from and stuck it into the 3. So I have to do some research on it, but I imagine that they'd, do some sort of like active all-wheel drive system that's actually really good. So it'd be pretty cool if they could actually make that happen.
This guy was saying that the newest Mazda 3 is a beam axle in the back. I was trying to clarify if the all-wheel drive one also was. That would be kind of a difficult thing to engineer around.
I would be very surprised if it was.
I bet that thing's got to be IRS in the back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's independent rear suspension.
I totally get that the standard cars, the front-wheel drive ones, are beam axle.
Actually,
It's
no.
just cheaper.
The Mazda 3 is not beam axle. It's independent rear suspension.
I bet
The Mazda 2 is beam axle.
Well, I know that one is, yeah. 'cause
but the
that's a
Mazda
Fiesta,
3,
right?
because the Mazda 3 has always had a independent rear suspension. It's been
Even
the
the
thing.
newest one.
If I'm not mistaken.
New one is beam. No, either way, the all-wheel drive one almost just by nature has to be independent rear suspension for the diff
Yeah,
and the half shaft.
unless you just use
don't
like
know.
a solid axle, like out of like a old truck.
Yeah,
like,
which they wouldn't do. I mean, they
No.
could maybe stabilize it enough where they could mount the diff to the underside of the floor in the boot and then just have CVs. But I bet that they would go to. Independent rear suspension to accommodate that on the all-wheel drive ones.
they would have to.
I did just get sent a link. Let me put that up on the. Well, actually, I'll wait until you're done with the Mazda 3 speed story, and then I'll put this.
I think I'm kind of done because like now I just want to know what's going on with this rear suspension more than anything, to be honest.
Well, oh shoot, I don't have Twitch open on the stream computer. Never mind. He sent me. Is looking for the photos. I want to make sure that we're not giving incorrect information.
Oh, it is a torsion beam.
Well, I know the standard car is. I see that, but I cannot find information specifically on the all-wheel drive one. I really don't think that they can.
Oh,
do
here
that.
we go. Yeah, no, the all-wheel drive system. I'm looking at it, and it's got this like weird like inverted torsion beam thing.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
the differential, like it goes up, and the differential sits underneath it.
Huh. So it just uses CV axles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. It is indeed a torsion beam, even on the all-wheel drive. That's kind of incredible.
Actually, wait a minute.
That's a pretty good-looking car. Gotta say. I would put
I'm
this
gonna
link
have
up there, but
I'm
I
gonna
just
have to.
can't.
I'm gonna have to view this page because this is.
Actually,
not
I
100%
think
true.
if I open, okay, I think I got this. So let's go to Twitch on the stream computer.
We should have like an extra person just sits here with like a really fast laptop that just does our research for us, so we can just like move on with our life. But anyway, What are you?
I'm trying to send myself a link on this thing here.
Do you guys need help?
No, it's fine.
It'd be really nice. If
There we go. Yeah, ad blocker. I don't care. That's a very attractive car, I gotta say. Very smooth lines.
Oh, it's a beautiful car. The only thing I really don't like is the size of the C-pillar.
There you go, stream viewers. Go ahead and read that. Just load the stream in high def and just read that.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so I think we should just. Why don't you move on with your topic? Cause
Sounds good.
Now we're just all.
Speaking of
confused about
Mazda
this.
and Mazda Speed products, I want to just ask a question.
Yes.
Would you buy your car again?
Yes.
Oh, well done, Jana.
Well, Jana asked for me.
The microphone's
answered for
facing
me.
the wrong way.
Yes, we actually talk about replacing this Mazda 5 with another Mazda 5 in the future.
Like the later
She
six-speed
talks at
ones
me
with the
about it.
2.5,
Yeah.
or
She talks at me about it, not we talk about it. No, I wouldn't do the 2.5 6-speed because that's a direct injection, which
Oh.
I do not want.
I see.
I would, yes, buy another Mazda 5, not my exact one. I absolutely hate the color on it.
Okay, what color would you buy?
I get either the red or the white.
I was gonna say I'd go with red. Yeah.
Yeah, the red or the white would be it.
What about you, Jana? Would you buy your Sienna?
Yeah, actually, like,
For the price you got it for, yeah.
yeah, for the price I got
Free
it for,
fitty.
free. Yeah, but like, I genuinely really like the Sienna. Right now in my life, it doesn't really, like, when I got it, it made sense because I was nannying and hauling kids around a lot.
Yeah.
And so it, like, made more sense than delaying the Accord for me.
Sure.
But now that it's just myself and I'm driving myself long distances, it doesn't make sense for me anymore, which whenever I think about that, it makes me kind of sad because, like, I genuinely really like the vehicle, but it's just too big for me now. But I think further down the line.
But it has functional gears in its transmission, right?
Exactly.
So that's pretty good.
It's pretty good and it's decent. And I mean, I've never really had any issues with it. I mean, one of the doors is broken and it still chews.
Didn't the bumper fall off a couple times?
Yeah, the bumper's fallen off a few times, but it's still
It's had a life.
Oh, well, it's had a regular Sienna
yeah,
existence.
and it's always like gotten me from point A to point B unless, you know, my battery is dying because of the broken door. But
Whoops.
that's just, it was also a really cold winter when that happened.
Gotta put
so,
one of those like boat master battery switches on it and just like
Yeah.
it's got the little spot for the lock on it.
Now we have this stupid little yellow "Do Not Open" sign, and that's like ceased the problem because nobody's yanking at a broken door. to
People are
open
actually
it.
reading before doing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because it's like yellow, and they're like, "What does? Why
You
do
must
have
not
the
live in the
sticker
United
here?"
States of America.
Yeah. So like, I like it. It's currently just has a Art Deco chair sitting in the back of it.
Okay.
As like,
It might be the only Sienna in the world that has an Art Deco chair in the back of it right now.
I mean, it's got cat hair, so I can't bring it into the
Nice.
house right now, so I gotta clean it off. But it's finally decent enough where I have a day to do that. But I probably wouldn't go back and buy the same generation of Sienna, because knowing how I treat mine.
Especially the year of yours as well.
Yeah, the 2006.
Like the Sludge Master.
Yeah.
The Sludge Master
I've
3300.
I've had techs bring me from the waiting room to show me the sludge on the engine, and I think something terrible they've done something terrible to my car, and then they're like, you should probably know about this, and I was like, I already know about it, and they're like, you should clean it, and I was like, I'll clean
No,
it later.
you don't want to dislodge that.
I was like, it'll
That
be
engine has
You
such
just
a
keep
massive
putting
issue
good
with it.
filters on it and changing the oil off, and it'll eventually dissipate a little bit. But
Yeah,
no.
and so I wouldn't buy the same year, knowing that people abuse them as much as they do. But my mom has the newest generation of Sienna.
the 3.5 is a much better engine.
Yeah, and I like that. I don't like that there's not a lot of driver feel to it. Like,
That's just, you're going to get that with any Sienna.
yeah,
It's
but-
probably got like 75 series tires on it, and yeah, the power steering is designed for, steering it with the
Yeah,
palm of your hand while you're eating your
exactly.
Big Mac.
My favorite thing is
but I
once
really like it, and
I-
they're prettier now.
I once drove a Sienna that had snow tires on, so like the tires are particularly sticky.
Oh, okay.
And I was able to go from like full right lock and grab it and swing it real hard and have this power steering spin the wheel all the way to the left lock without touching it. It just sat there
With
and
the wheels
spun.
on the ground.
Wheels on the ground and snow tires, like sticky snow tires. Vehicle is running, it just went wham, wham. And then
So what you're telling me is an underdrive pulley set would probably help a Sienna a whole bunch.
yes.
Because like, yeah, if I turn the wheel too fast in any of my cars, like I can feel the pump run out of potential.
Yes.
Like it's like, oh, that's as much power assist as you got.
Yeah, no, I want that.
Well, that me too. Like
Yeah.
I've got underdrive pulleys on the red M3, and that includes the power steering, which I put on much later, and it works great, but you can't rush it.
Yeah, as opposed to like, yeah, the Sienna is just like, you can just whip that all the way around.
Yeah, well, I'm really lucky because my Sienna, it has a power steering leak, so I can actually feel how I'm
It's true.
driving.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
feeling the cavitation of the fluid, and
Yeah.
that becomes your steering feel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's,
the steering feel.
it's
yeah.
really nice. I love whipping it around corners, and people are like, "How did you do that?" And I'm
It's like, it's broken.
It's just a little bit broken, and sometimes that's better.
I know.
Jan-
I love my little bit broken.
Yeah, no, Jan loves her car's a little bit broken. Like her Accord, like we had to like have like an intervention about
How
Ron,
broken it was.
like the automatic carbureted one that like.
Is that the one that was like sometimes missing a different gear than the other
Yeah.
gears?
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Intermittently missing different gears. Yeah, that one. So I'm just like, honey, we have a talk.
That car's got spirit.
And now I've got a second C8 on that Accord in my driveway. So, but that one's
Hey,
great.
but you like that one.
Yeah, I really do like that one.
So
not gonna lie.
clean.
I guess here's another question.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any cars that you would not buy?
Yeah, Porsche Boxster S.
Yeah, 86 Subaru GL10. Yep.
All right, there we go. What about you, Jana? Any car you have had that you wouldn't buy again?
When I first started driving, my dad put the pause button on owning Honda Ridgelines, and he bought a Nissan. And
Nissan Frontier.
Yeah, a Nissan Frontier.
I was gonna ask if it was a Titan or Frontier.
Yeah, and I did not like that vehicle.
Okay.
It just, the inside felt cheap. Like going from a Honda Ridgeline to a Nissan, like, I mean, had we gone from, like, he also had a Taco, so a Toyota Tacoma, and it felt like the 90s Tacoma, but in a modern car.
Oh yeah, so it felt like a Mitsubishi, like something that was
Yeah,
really
it
cool
was
15
just-
years ago, and then they just kind of cheapened the material, and
Okay.
now it's just worse.
Yeah, and we were driving,
It's
because,
surprising me that it's worse than a Honda. But
yeah,
The Ridgelines are actually really nice.
The Ridgelines are super
well, I think that's a kind of a cut-down Pilot interior, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really good interior. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna... The Ridgeline,
Yeah.
that's what all civilian pickups should be. Everybody that wants a
Exactly.
pickup
Should
they
get a
need a
Ridgeline.
Have you
Ridgeline.
been in a modern King Ranch or Denali? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
It's like perforated leather, like semi-aniline leather,
yeah.
cooled seats,
Yeah,
leather-wrapped
it's
steering
insane.
wheel.
Why do you need that in a truck?
Well, it's because people buy trucks when they don't need them. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want these luxuries from my car in this truck. Well, why don't you buy a car? I'm
See,
like, well, I just want a truck.
Well, why do you want a truck?
It's got $80,000, you know, that's why.
I came from the background where my dad's always had a truck, and he's always gotten the smaller Japanese trucks, which I appreciate. And like he had a Sienna for a while, but like the truck just works better when you're doing like landscaping and stuff like that. And so when he had the Nissan and we were driving down to Blue Earth, it was my butt would fall asleep, my legs would fall asleep. It was just so uncomfortable.
I want to turn your microphone up, but all I will hear
Yeah,
is
you
that,
just need to
is
speak
that
up on it.
damn water softener if I do that.
You're just gonna have
Should
to.
The microphone's just not facing you at all. That's the
It's
main
not
problem.
facing you, and it's you.
Well, I'm sorry, my laptop's
my
so
God, that's better.
Okay, thank you. Well, no, you're just a quiet person, honey.
I
You are a
know,
quiet person.
And my laptop is like
Like
huge.
That's fine. The microphone's usually just recording the
if
sync.
Yeah.
if we're like, hey, like at my house and the wind blows outside, you have to speak up because you're so quiet.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, I mumble a
I'm
lot too, but
mouse.
I just
But-
have to keep myself really
but,
close to my
oh.
mic.
But yeah, so like I didn't like the Nissan because the cheap interior
Yeah.
and like when we were on like road trips down to the apartment buildings that he owns in Blue Earth, it would be like my butt would fall asleep, my legs would fall asleep, and we'd have to
Yeah,
like,
terrible seats are something I just can't abide in a
Yeah,
vehicle.
we would have to trade off. Whereas if we're in the Ridgeline, we could drive 8 hours each and be totally.
But are the
fine.
seats stuffed with coconut husks?
I don't know, but they're
No.
so comfy.
Kind of a joke.
Your dad also did buy F-150 at one point,
Yes.
and he spent the entire time falling out of it.
Yes, I was not allowed to drive that car.
Why?
Because
Also, how does one fall out of a truck so often?
my sister is, my dad's about 5'8", my sister's 5'5", and I'm 5'1", they both could barely drive the truck because they're short for the truck. And so they didn't want me to even attempt to drive such a large vehicle because
Well, it's swinging back to pickups. Why do people buy them?
Well,
yeah, and he found out he didn't need the extra space because like he got it because he was able to pick up a dropped lease.
Ah.
Yeah.
See, it was like it was a pun.
Yeah,
Woo!
and so
Throwing rocks tonight.
he actually got paid to own this truck, and he's like, I kind of want to see what not owning a Japanese truck is like, and he hated it. He couldn't put things in and out of the bed. He couldn't.
it was too big and too much.
He kept falling
yeah.
out of it. I kept falling out of it. It was not
was
a
dumb.
good time.
Thank you for the follow on Twitch, Scurvy Nuts Lemon.
Now, anyway. Did you some...
No.
Okay.
It's okay. Don't buy a Titan.
Don't
Buy an F-150. Actually,
Yes.
just don't buy a pickup. But if you do buy a pickup, buy a Ridgeline. Is that what we're
Yes.
saying?
Yep.
Okay.
And then if you
Then put a hitch on it.
if you are gonna buy a 1980s Subaru product,
Yeah.
stay away from the GL10. Buy the normal GL. If you want the digital dashboard, I get it, but get the best body you can with no engine.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna
And-
buy a Porsche Boxster S,
Don't.
yeah, don't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
not
it-
Buy a
worth
987.
If you buy a Ridgeline, it's gonna drive like an Accord or
Well, it drives like a pilot,
yeah.
it. Yeah, same thing.
It's
Which is
Yeah.
an Accord in the
so
fat
nice,
suit.
pretty much. Except
Now-
you
Yeah,
get the
not a
6-cylinder,
truck.
but
which is always nice.
Speaking of Honda,
yes.
what if I told you that Honda secretly designed Mark's Jenna Jameson's Lamborghini Murcielago's engine?
Well, the Bizzarini V12 has been around for 50 years. Honda designed that?
Well, there is evidence of that. That Bizzarini, it kind of went under the table and had Honda like ghostwrite the engine for him.
Is that why it's extremely reliable?
It might be actually, but this guy named LJK Setwright, who is he's this bearded man. He's known,
Gandalf.
Yeah, he's one of the like most revered automotive writers ever. There is. He did a interview with Supercar Classics,
Okay.
where he declared, I do have to quote.
Is that
this.
a publication?
Yeah, it used to be a UK based like supercar magazine.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to read exactly what he wrote word for word, but this guy is not the sort of person that lies about things because he had a reputation to uphold.
Okay.
So it's kind of like if Einstein said, "Yeah, the government's hiding aliens."
Oh,
So
so a credible source.
It's a very credible source. It is an unsubstantiated claim from a very credible source. The accepted legend is that the original engine was designed for a Lamborghini by Bizzarini, based on a design study for his 4.5-liter Grand Prix engine, which, properly from what I remember of it, came to nothing. And that was subsequently modified and mollified for the Dallara. He loves to say things like modified and mollified.
Well, of course, because this is ye olde times.
Yeah. Well, no, this is like the 1980s.
Ye old times.
Now, I will admit to a good deal of respect for the work of young Dallara, but I honestly cannot see anything in the work of either of these engines, either before or since, of comparable quality. I'm therefore all the more inclined to believe that what I was privately told by was privately told. 1 second.
This is going really well.
Sorry, it's really, really wordly weirded, this sentence.
Wordly weirded.
Weirded wordly.
So I don't know if you guys knew this, but Ryan has a severe case of dyslexia.
Apparently,
He's working through it.
I just
He
found
got
this
it
out
from
myself.
me.
Yeah, I'm therefore all the more inclined to believe what was told quite
contagious.
authoritatively in 1975 that the design was secretly commissioned by Lamborghini from Honda.
I could see that.
Yeah,
'Cause, I mean, I've always been fascinated how a company with nothing could make one of the most reliable V12 engines ever designed.
Yeah, and not only that, it looks nothing like any of their other engines and doesn't like work. It works a lot better.
Yeah.
It's like this guy just suddenly say, "Yeah, I'm just gonna make this reliable now."
Yeah, like all that stuff, I was just doing it on purpose to make it Italian.
So,
Sorry, Italian.
So yeah, LJK Setwright, he went to the grave with who his source was about
Okay.
this.
Okay.
But he,
Literally.
Yeah, was it disclosed to like his heirs?
No, like he literally died holding the secret. He never told anybody, and everybody that was involved with this is now dead.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well, okay, so yeah, now he can say something like that then.
Well, no, I mean he's dead too, but he said that like in an interview, like to his defunct magazine, like on one of their last issues.
Okay. So he deliberately picked a publication that like people wouldn't really see.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. It's probably
Then,
clever.
so I'm gonna repeat the other part of what he added. Executed the commission very swiftly, or Honda executed the commission very swiftly, as it was especially capable of doing. It met Lamborghini's original specifications perfectly, gained the design right the first time without need for prolonged development, which again is consistent and individual sense of honor would prevent it from admitting it. So Honda would, with Honda's honor to Lamborghini, of course they would never admit it.
Well, if they were paid.
Yeah, if they were paid and they were told to keep it secret, Soichiro Honda was a very honorable person. He would probably do the same thing where he'd go to the grave saying, not telling anybody he designed this great engine. He just wanted to do it because he loved cars.
I'm sure that's why Jenna Jameson bought that car.
Yeah, exactly. It's clearly why.
It's the Honda engine.
Yeah, it's a Honda engine.
I should get some Honda badges for the
That
valve
would be
covers.
really funny.
Although
Anyway.
the cylinder heads were later redesigned by Lamborghini proper.
Since the normal cloak of commercial anonymity would have been cast over the transaction, so basically Honda kept it under wraps because if it turned out that Honda secretly designed that, it'd look really bad for Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
Nevertheless, there was no other engine, especially no other V12 of equal merit created in the decade before the debut of the first Lamborghini, nor any superior in years immediately followed other than by Honda. What more appropriate than one of the world's best engineers should be designed by one of the world's best car makers?
And here's a photo on the stream of
The
a
Lamborghini V12. Yeah.
Honda engine, actually.
Oh, there's the Honda engine and the Lamborghini engine directly above it. And they do look remarkably similar.
Well, they do, but I mean, it's still a 60-degree V12 from
Well,
the
I'm looking
era,
at the
so-
valve angle.
Well, yeah, but again, that kind of thing was really common back in
Yep.
the day. If you had a twin cam engine, they all pretty much look like that.
Yeah, the only thing that's different is that on the Honda engine, the intakes, the carburetor, yeah, I guess the intakes are on the far side as opposed to being in between in between the banks of cylinders.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where there's, it could be believable of that. And Honda did have a V12 that they designed that was a very good engine, the RA 271 and 272.
And it makes sense that it would be different because, I mean, the block, there's no way they could use the same block for a 1.5 liter F1 engine and a 3.5 to 5 liter street car engine. So
Exactly,
there would have to be revisions.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. And so, yeah, there is evidence that Honda might have done that. This article was from Braintree.com, actually. They do have really good articles. You just kind of have to dig around and look for them.
When we pulled this up, I was surprised to see Bring a Trailer.
Yeah, so it is that, but yeah, so until they go on to say until they're proven wrong, they'll believe that it was Bizzarini's engine. You know what? I kind of like the conspiracy theory that Honda secretly did it, and it makes sense.
It would make a lot of sense because it
'Cause
is a really reliable engine.
It's way better than anything at Italy made at that point in time. Like,
I mean, it's way better than their first gen V10 Audi engine.
yeah,
And yeah. I mean, I don't know their V8 back in the era. I don't know if that was an in-house engine or not. And if it was probably a derivative of the Bizzarini V12 anyway.
well, here, Gianna,
What?
can you go on your computer and look up the Lamborghini Jalpa and let me know what engine was using that? JALPA.
Some 3.5 liter something or other.
What? That was a V8 Lamborghini.
Right. Oh, I know.
So-
That would have had whatever engine
Yeah,
that we were talking about.
that would have been it.
Same one
so-
as the Urraco and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
So if you go to the Wikipedia and then
Oh, while you guys are searching that up, I want to talk electric vehicles.
Yes, please do.
Completely
Yes,
changing
please.
this up.
This is a terrible vehicle that I
Yeah.
don't care about. So
Well, we're going to talk about the Audi e-tron, which I also am not a fan of. But you are actually probably going to like this story, Ryan, because it's actually a detrimental story for the e-tron.
Yes.
Their battery supplier totally messed up, and now all these 2-month order windows have been pushed to 7 months,
That's
and people that
hilarious.
want these awful, terrible, giant, overweight e-tron SUVs won't get them until a while.
That
Good.
smells like
But
a
the
capital
downside,
L.
the downside, also, man, okay, pop-ups on Jalopnik. Pop Lopnik. The e-tron coupe thing that we actually do want to see, that's the Mission E
Yeah.
Audi thing. We won't see
Is
that
that pushed
until
back to-
2020.
okay.
Yeah. So that's unfortunately the
Can they
downside of this
just
story.
Switch the two.
Well, they won't though, because idiots buy this stupid bloated SUV thing, which has 95 kilowatt hours and can do a whopping 205 miles between charges, which is fewer miles than my 70 kilowatt hour car
Yeah,
can
that's
do.
interesting.
It's underpowered,
Speaking
overweight, and
On electric cars, I'm in environmental biology, and we got to do our presentations on whatever we want.
Nice.
And I did mine on plastic pollution. You know,
ooh,
yeah, which
that is
was
definitely a thing.
it's a thing. And then
Talk about microplastics and all that kind of crap.
yeah, and that's fun. That's an interesting topic, and there's many solutions to it. But somebody brought up electric cars, and what I hate is when people, or students in particular, bring up electric cars is they focus too much on all the good, and then they just kind of ignore the bad things, like
Right.
the production and like
Mhm.
the fact that you're only as clean as the power you use and all these things. And I think they actually touched on
Even battery
the
production.
power, but they're just like not talking about the production of vehicles. So like a big car like this doesn't really make sense to be electric, because
Well, I mean, it still kind of does,
it
but
does,
yeah,
but like
I see what you mean.
and so like they also didn't know much about cars. So I'm
Right.
sitting there like, because they showed a video that actually is talking about how some smaller diesel cars are more fuel efficient, and
Well, I mean, there
greener
are
than this.
diesel vehicles that have a much lower environmental impact for a lot of miles. I mean, obviously everything's got that graph where there's some point where it's
Yeah.
cleaner. But I mean, back in the day of like Gen 2 Prius era with hybrids and things like that, really you're on nickel metal hydride batteries, and
Yeah.
granted they were really small. We're talking like 1 kilowatt hour,
Yeah.
1.5 or something like that. But Top Gear touched on this actually really well, probably better than anyone else I've ever seen write it down. But I mean, it's like it was mined in a mine in Canada, which is really
Yes.
dirty, and then it's like shipped to like South Korea where it's refined, and then it's shipped to
Yeah.
Japan for production, then it's shipped back to the United States for like assembly and things like that. It's terrible. But
Yeah.
even early lithium-ion batteries, like they use a really, really rare element. So I
Yes.
mean, it's tough to mine, it's hard to find, it's just really expensive. So the amount of money that they have to do, how much they have to excavate to get
Yeah.
a finite amount of this material, it's really impactful. I mean, it's still, for how long cars are staying on the road these days, it is still better
Yes.
overall, even if you're powered by coal, to drive an electric vehicle. However, with newer battery chemistries that are relying more and more on the fundamental elements of the battery packs, they're switching more from this lithium to nickel and cobalt. And granted,
Okay.
the nickel's the really bad stuff,
Yeah.
but it's a very small amount, and cobalt is taking up the majority of it, and that's really easy and
Yeah.
abundant to mine. So I mean, the impact of a brand new medium range EV and a brand new like compact car, those are actually really similar these days.
Okay.
And they're like off the dealer lot impact. So those are
Yeah.
surprisingly clean. But yeah, something like this where you have 95 kilowatt hours of this battery, which is a
Yeah.
lot of pack. It's expensive to produce. It's really harmful, and it gets horrific efficiency. So I mean, that's probably
Yeah.
going to take 100,000 miles to offset compared to a diesel Q7 or something.
Yes. Now I'm regretting that I didn't do electric vehicles, because then I could have broken it down like the Fiat versus a Tesla, because like
And it's hard to find that information. Really,
yeah,
it is.
It is, but like I hate when people just bundle all electric cars together, because I'm like,
Nothing, there's no silver bullet. Well, Scott's saying there is. It's called ride a bike or walk.
yes.
Yes.
But as far as like
it's a wonderful silver bullet until you get either hit by a train, which is not a car, or you get your toe falls off because you have hypothermia. So
I like
that's-
my car, so I'm going to continue to.
I like having my all of my phalanges.
Yeah, my appendages, I'm quite fond
Yeah.
of them, so I intend to keep them. However, I mean, I enjoy bicycling, but I don't do it for commute like he does. I do it for pleasure sometimes. So anyway, I am happy that the terrible e-tron thing is delayed. I'm unhappy that it also means that the good e-tron coupe thing is delayed.
It's not gonna be that good because it's gonna be made out of metal, or
Well,
not
no,
metal. It's gonna be made out of like a bunch of steel.
This garbage is, yes, but the other one is the Mission E basically cut down for Audi production. So it shares e-tron as a name, but it is not the same thing. So that'll actually be a pretty good car.
I don't have much faith. Now, anyway, I want to talk about the New York International Auto Show for a moment.
Okay.
Nissan had a big display there because their big display was 50th anniversary of not only the GTR but also the Z car.
Hey.
Yes, and they released a new like 50th anniversary edition like R35 GTR.
Another one. Great.
Humorously,
Humorously or humorously?
Humorously.
Okay.
They did not use the 1969 livery for the limited edition, but they used the 1971 livery.
Why?
Because the person saw a picture of it and didn't know the difference in years. And Josh from JDM Legends pointed that out to them.
This is why we can't have nice things.
So I imagine that's what happened.
I'm getting another beer. Hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with that, we do the generations of cars and those little topics. And traditionally, that's a Sapporo. I really want that. I'm jealous.
I just love the steel can.
I just really love the beer.
Well, me too, but I'm like, there's a reason why I only bought one of all these. It's because they're like $4 or $5 a
I
piece.
know,
Yeah.
they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Now, with the generations, I want to talk about the Z car because, well, it's a good time to talk about it. And that next episode, we'll probably be talking about the GTR. I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter than we normally do just because I could literally make this into an entire episode that put all of
When
you
I
to
saw
sleep.
the Z car in there, I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes.
No, I'm gonna go as fast as I can. I do want to start with.
Should we time you like it's a
No,
speed round?
no, I'm not gonna do that. So I want to start with the pre Z cars, the Fairlady Roadsters, because to do that, that is very important for understanding the Z car. It all started out in 1959 with the S211 chassis Datsun Sports 1000. It was a sports car based off their kind of truck / Bluebird DC3 thing that they had. You're making a terrible.
I think
smell.
this might be skunked.
Oh no! That's $4 on the drain.
Oh man,
That's lame.
my
I'm
Sapporo is skunked.
Lame.
Ah.
Boo. Anyway, so this the very first year they only made 20 of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah. they
Talk
made it-
about rare.
Yeah, super rare. They were designed by Yuichi Oda. And Yuichi Oda and Nissan have a very interesting story. Because prior to World War II, there were two Japanese auto manufacturers that ever went to racing.
Okay.
One was a company called Datsun.
I've heard of them.
That eventually became Nissan, and then went
Ah.
back to Datsun, and then back to Nissan.
Make up your mind.
Wishy
know,
washy.
And then this other one was called Ota Automobile.
How do you like OTA?
OHTA is
Okay.
how I spelled it, but the correct Romanized would be OTA. That'd be the correct Romanized version. But
OTA.
yeah. So, but now it's OHTA is how it's spelled because it's before they revised it. It's really, that's another thing that'd take forever. Anyway,
Does Japanese culture jump around as much as their automotive like naming and production stuff?
I know.
Oh, that would be so hard to keep track
They're
of.
I know,
very
right?
static.
Okay,
So,
well, good.
anyway, Datsun made a car in a barn that could. They were getting their ass kicked by Oda because Oda was just
OHTA.
Yeah,
I
they
just
were-
heard about them just
Yeah,
now.
they were like way faster than Datsun's were racing. So Datsun ended up taking their like truck engine that was like a 750cc like 4-cylinder, and they made a dual vert cam cylinder head with a supercharger in a
Nice.
barn from scratch, and it ended up making as much power per liter as a Bugatti Type 35 did, which is like the peak of pre-war performance. So anyway, after the war, Oda, the auto manufacturer, went out of business because they invested way more in producing war materials than Nissan did. So they totally got shut down. And then the remnants of Oda were absorbed into Nissan.
Okay.
Yuichi Oda, who was their competitor, decided to team up and make like the best possible Japanese sports car they could make. So yeah, you start out with that very, very cute car, cute as a button. And they made 20 of them. 1960. Well, it's because they redesigned the.
No, I know. I'm laughing at how you describe it.
They redesigned the base model of it. 1960, they made the SPL 212, which actually came to America. This one is way higher production, made 495 of them. which is still nothing, but they're a lot better. Those ones had a 1.2 liter engine, 47 horsepower, 310. The SPL 310 would be the one we'd imagine when we think of a Fairlady Roadster.
Okay.
That was 1963, and that originally came with a 1.5 liter engine. Eventually, that'd go on to the 311 by 1970, in which you had a 2 liter inline four. These were all roadsters that are based off like MGs and Fiat and Alfa Romeo, like kind of class.
Like actually based off
no,
of the
no,
car?
no, but like that class.
Okay.
Like they're based off like that sort of class to try and compete with them.
Sure.
They never really raced that much in Europe, where sports car racing was very popular. However, in America in the 1960s in IMSA,
Yeah.
these would shit all over the Alfa Romeo Giulias and just destroyed the MGs. And yeah, they were really good.
But the HP per L.
Yeah, exactly. They were really, really, really good. And Bob Sharp Racing, who we'll hear about a lot more in the future of this, was instrumental in doing a lot of that racing. Now, this car was great and all, but it was never really taken seriously by performance car fans.
Okay.
It was like taken seriously, like, yeah, if you like a sports car, cool. But it's the 1960s. You got muscle cars and stuff, right? And it's like it's all about like having a mile long
You don't
hood.
have 7 liters under your hood.
Yeah,
Boy, you ain't a real man.
Yeah, it's all about having a cool, sexy sports car with like a big engine. Well, so anyway, come 1969. I know, right?
I'll show myself out.
Nissan is making a new sports car. It was designed by Yoshihiko Matsuo, who is he was the head of Nissan Sports Car Styling Studio.
Okay. That's a mouthful.
I know, right? Like, what the hell? Like, we think these about
Nissan Datsun Joint Venture Styling Sports Car Studio Art.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just ridiculous. But yeah, so this is kind of like their Halo car. It had a single overhead cam inline 6.
Nice. The correct number of
perfect.
cylinders and configuration.
Yeah, with a manual transmission. They eventually made a 2+2 coupe, which looks absolutely disgusting. Like, just the worst looking vehicle ever designed.
I don't know. I've seen Z31 2+2s.
Oh, no, this one's way worse.
Oh.
Actually, I would say, if you bring up, just type in S30 2+2. And I will tell you that one, in fact, looks worse. Because the Z31 2+2, they at least took like 2 seconds. This one, they're like, ah, shit. Like, this one's way worse. And that's probably the nicest one of those we'll ever look. Can we get a look at that brown one?
No, I can't. I'm going to look at the nicest one ever.
The best possible example.
That is actually, yeah.
Yeah,
Actually looks pretty okay in that spec, but yeah.
That
does look awkwardly lengthened.
You can imagine if that was not lowered and modified extensively.
And had Watanabes on it.
Yeah, and didn't have like that chin spoiler, that would look really bad.
Yeah.
And then when you think about the normal S30, like, it looks really bad. It's a terrible looking vehicle.
Somebody might have not done that quite right.
No. This was like kind of your sports car, and actually, they sold super, super well. And
These did the 2+2 or the 2-seater?
The normal 2-seaters. I mean, 2+2s did fine, but there's a normal 2-seater, like, just sold like hotcakes. Everybody loved them. And
Was that the birth of the L28 then?
The L24.
Oh, L24. Sorry.
Yes.
Derp.
No, because they had, I believe they were actually using that in
So the
Glorias.
Oh, okay.
And
It didn't
Skylines.
debut in the Z.
I think it came out before that.
Okay.
I have to double check on that. I'm not sure. I'm the Toyota guy, a Japanese nostalgia car, not the Nissan guy. I'm out of my element
Whatever.
here.
Poor craftsman blames his tools.
So, but yeah, anyway, it was really, really dope. Now, in Japan, there was a variant called the Z432, which had not a 432 cubic inch engine.
I was going to say, is it a 4.32 liter engine?
No. It is
A la BMW.
4 valves per cylinder,
Ooh.
triple carb,
Oh, yeah.
dual overhead cam, 432.
Did we talk about one of these engines with Mr. Hawkyard?
I believe so. It's the S20.
Oh, great
the
engine.
160 horsepower 2-liter inline six in 1969.
Triple carb
which is
inline sixes.
amazing. And because today is 420, how better
Oh my
can we talk about
God.
it? Because they made 420 of them.
Incidentally, I saw a quick tangent. I saw this on Facebook the other day. I'm like, if you get married today, your 50th wedding anniversary will be 4/20/69. So there you go. Go do that.
That would be really funny. Shannon, today might be your lucky day.
No engagement, straight to the wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did get like a Facebook like notification that like this would have been my anniversary with my ex like 8 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, I don't want that to be another anniversary.
So,
24.
anyway, the Z432, actually some of them were used by the Japanese police department to catch street racers because that was a thing then.
Catching
still.
crims and locking them up
Yeah.
in your community.
Now, they even had a hotter version of the 432, where the
Say it ain't
432R, where you had aluminum wheels, aluminum hood.
Whoa.
Yeah, like
It's tough to do back in the day.
the front fenders were like thinner metal, the doors were thinner metal. They did have some. They did have some engine enhancements, different intakes and stuff, different exhaust manifold. So they actually it was faster, and that was a homologation model.
Beauty.
Now, this was all very well and good before emissions. Then emissions happened,
Aww.
and this car got hit with a brick.
Yeah, twin cam non-catalyst 60s cars with triple carbs.
Yeah, it didn't do very well. And in 1973, it happened. Then you had the L26. They did make the engine a little bit bigger. You kind of broke even with it.
Oh, so it's like the OBD2 change for the E36 M3
Yeah, you broke even.
made the engine displacement a little bit bigger, restricted it a little bit more, and voila.
Yeah, you had 2.6 liter engine. And that had 1 second here.
I didn't even know they made an L26.
Yeah, they did. So it had 140 horsepower, as opposed to the 240Z is I think had like 145 or something. Like, yeah, the 240Z was like right up there. Let's see here. Yeah, 151.
Okay,
So,
that's pretty good power for the era.
yeah, 151. You know, before emissions, that's pretty good actually. But after emissions, be able to retain that much power.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you look at what, like, a GTO did between 1973 and 1974, you went from, like, 400 horsepower to, like, 280. Like, your car got killed. So, needless to say, these ones,
Did you just say these ones?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Once emissions happened, that's when the Z car really, really took off. Because now their product was the best performing car that you could really get.
Right, because it wasn't killed quite as much by passing emissions as a
'cause
lot of the domestic stuff was.
They had a better engine. They were trying to make a better engine. It was single red cam. It didn't just rely on
you mean
it.
like that one time where Honda put CVCC heads on the small block?
Yeah, and it made it actually like really fast. Yeah.
Weird.
But yeah, it's like they actually made this like a really, really good car. It also had automatic available, which is absolutely gross and nobody cares about it. Now, the 260Z, they only had it available for 1 year in America. 1974 only. Because
I've never even heard of that. So.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Because actually, in 1975, you had to put the safety bumpers on the car.
So that was 74.
Well, it was the end of 74 for a 75 model year. So,
No, it was 1974 model year.
oh, okay. So I was wrong. I'm sorry. But yeah,
sorry.
because it was kind of like that. Had the safety bumpers. Now the 280Z, then you started getting fuel injection.
Okay, and that was actually EFI too. It wasn't even
No,
mechanical.
it was mechanical.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Because the
mechanical.
240Z EFI was EFI. 72 240Z that we've got is electronic.
Is that factory?
It looks factory, unless it's got an L28 from a much later car, which I guess it could.
It was L-Jetronic.
This would be D-Jet.
They had L-Jetronic. So yeah, I mean that's what they have.
Weird.
Yeah, they had these disgusting looking impact absorbing 5-mile-an-hour crash bumpers, which were really, really. Can we just look at the just type in 1976 280Z with the like USDM bumpers because they're terrible looking.
I'll find it. You keep talking. I'll pull it up.
There it is, right
I'm
there,
gonna pick
orange
a
one, right
gross
there,
one.
the orange one. That is the disgusting front end. And it looks.
Oh, that's link location. I can't do that. There we go. Image.
Doesn't it help that you know how to do this now?
Yeah, that is much better.
Yeah, that looks terrible.
That's really, really awful.
That is like that car got hit with a brick. That's almost as bad as the Countach. But yeah, so anyway, they had that. It was kind of cool. The car, it did better. You know, it was back up to having more power.
Bosch D-Jet.
It had 170 horsepower again. They did really good with racing. Bob Sharp Racing was on the East Coast. Then you had Brock Racing Enterprises, BRE, with Paul Newman racing them on the West Coast.
He's got good dressing.
Yeah, John Morton as well was driving them. John Morton was just like walking around when we were in Monterey. Like he just looked like some random guy. And like
Did he have dad jorts on?
No, he had Dockers. I walked past him and Ben goes, "That's John Morton." And I'm like, "Oh."
You're right.
But anyway, they kicked ass, to say the least. They took a ton of records. I mean, even today, they're still kicking ass in vintage car racing. Like, you would have to basically run just Z-car vintage car races, because otherwise it's just going to be a podium stacked with Z-cars these days. But yeah, I mean, everybody raced him. They did really, really good. Bob Bondurant's, when his racing school started, they started out with Z-cars as their cars.
Bondurant?
Yeah, Bondurant. He started out with just Z-cars at the school. Now they got Chargers and stuff.
Every time somebody says Z-car really quickly, I think of Zika virus.
Zika?
Yeah, you're
Now-
right. L-Jetronic. It's off a 280ZX.
Yep. So,
Or 280Z, sorry.
now, speaking of the 280ZX, that's the next generation. So,
Gross.
once the malaise started really happening, people started wanting cars that are more just kind of GT touring cars, because although
Grand
Datsun,
Tourer touring cars?
or GT / just touring
Okay.
cars,
All right.
instead of sports cars and sports sedans and
Wouldn't
fun
want
things.
to Grand Tour or anything.
Yeah. And the reason for that is, other than Datsun, everything sucked. I mean, like,
That's a hell of a quote.
it really did. Like you couldn't get an American car. Those sucked. All the Italian cars looked like trash. The German cars were too complicated for your average mechanic. Like, it sucked. It really sucked.
2002s.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the 2002 is fine. It was a good car. But I mean, like, that's the thing is, like, you have a 2002, you have a Datsun 510, you have a 280Z, and that was about it. And all of them had terrible crash bumpers on them. And then 2002 at this point had already turned into the E21. So it's just like people were wanting cushier rides. So Datsun
Guess.
decided, let's go up market and make it a GT car, and just ruined it.
By the way, your quick history of the Z is going really, really quickly.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. I was being totally facetious.
It's a big car. This should have like an entire
I'm
episode.
giving you shit. Yeah. We did do a brief history, so it makes sense to extend this one
Yeah.
to do more detail.
So, when they made the 280ZX, that lasted from 78 to 83, as opposed to like
Yeah, it's not very long. It's 5
instead
years.
of the Roadster was 59 to 70 basically.
Oh my god.
And then the S30s were like 1970 to like 1978, and this one's like just falls off a cliff for how much people wanted them.
It's the 2012
Yeah.
Honda Civic.
Yeah, it really is. It you had the L28E, which is like, and they had they weighed so much more. I mean, the thing went from weighing 2,000 pounds to weighing 2,900 pounds,
Which is still not very heavy.
yeah, but for a 170 horsepower engine on a rear-wheel drive car with 3 or 4 speeds, like that sucks. They did eventually add a 5-speed manual to the car.
All right, so it does have a redeeming quality.
And it does. Actually, no, there are some very redeeming qualities, because, to be honest, if you want a Z car, like, this is the best value for money you can get these days. Because
Yeah, but they look gross.
once you lower them and you modify them, you can make them look okay. But when you're inside of it, it feels like a normal S30.
Alright.
And you can get them with the turbo. You can take the turbo off. You can get just like triple side draft carburetors if you want.
Or I could put a modern turbo on it and modern injection
Yeah, put like a modern engine in it.
and like double the horsepower.
But this is the thing: is this car actually kind of kicked ass at racing? Because 79 C production category, 7980 IMSA GTU, 8283 IMSA GTO. Every year, with the exception of 1978, that this car was in production, it won something. Like, not just a race, but it won its class. So, and this is the car that Bob Newman's most famous for racing in. It does have its racing pedigree, and, you know, per capita, this has a better racing pedigree than the S30 would have had. Just, you know,
I guess. I mean, it seems like it's probably just more due to its lack of competition in that emission-stricken era or something like that. But
it was racing against, like the
bless you.
the BMW 3.0 CL Batmobiles and stuff were still racing at this point, I think, right?
What year?
78, 79.
Yeah, it would have been just before the M1 was in development.
Yeah.
So that would have been the tail end of the E9 and the beginning of the E12 M535.
Yeah, so it was like roughly around that era. You had the 930 911s. You had the really just the doldrums of the worst era of Corvette ever.
Yep.
Just the most disgusting trash boats.
Yeah, I mean, I still see at vintage races C3 Vets, the big block cars.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're done up as well as you can possibly do a C3, and they're still like, I just don't want that at all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's bad. Now, this is why I like the Z31 so much better. Because this car really was... This kind of sums up what the Moise was. It was the auto manufacturer grasping on to everything that was cool 8 years ago. And trying so hard to just be like, no, you can just do it. You can just do it. And it's just falling to sand, and the sand's going to their fingers, and they're crying. And
I'm imagining the Tommy Boy bread scene right now.
And they're like,
and
they're,
there's my
they're
sail,
drunk,
and I pat it.
and they're drunk, and they're crying, and they're just a mess, and their suits all straggled and everything. They fell through a bush. It's just awful, and they're a mess.
And the consumer feels bad as the auto manufacturer's crying and buys them?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's kind of what it was like. Now, come 1983, Kazumasu Takagi came in and saved the day. He made the Z31, which is so much better.
It's a lot better.
Every way. You still had an inline-six variant available in Japan and Europe called the 200ZR. It used an RB20 turbo. Very, very cool engine. We got VG30s, which might be one of the ugliest looking engines of all time.
And the ugliest sounding engines of all time.
They are just terrible.
It sounds like... Have you heard a new EcoBoost Raptor?
Yes.
It sounds just like that.
It is really terrible
Oh,
sounding.
man. It's worse than the W-body engine noise somehow. Because it's like it's more balanced and smoother, but it's worse.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because at least
It sounds like Marge, like grunting.
Yeah, it does. At least the W body, you have a supercharger line.
Yeah, well,
maybe
it can.
It can.
Not the ones in my neighborhood, but.
But yeah, these are really just truly awful sounding engines. The 200ZR sounds amazing though. The
RB20 is a great sounding
like,
engine. Completely unique sound
really,
too.
really
The RB20 doesn't sound like a 25, 26.
No, it's a
Strokers.
very different noise. But yeah, no, it's an overall much better vehicle. Just about every way. It's better tech. Everything's actually put together. Everything's designed to have this tech on
Slightly
it.
less ugly.
It's significantly less ugly. They did a post and a pre. They did a facelift.
They did a Kuki and a Zenki on that one, right?
Yeah, and the facelift. You know what I really like about the facelift on this is if you're into 80s cars, if you're into late 80s design or mid to early 80s design, you really can have your cake and eat it too. Because the early ones were very 1985, and those later ones are really trying to be 90s. Like they tried smoothing it out.
That therein is our quintessential difference when it comes to Japanese cars, because
Yes.
I prefer the Kuki.
This is the car that perfectly describes our difference in things.
It does.
I like the early
I
one
still
with the digital
hate both
dashboard.
of the Z31s, but I much prefer the facelift, which
And
you hate.
my thing is that the Kuki, I had a chance to buy a very, very clean Kuki.
All right,
and I
but you
didn't.
call it a 240Z. No, sorry, 240SX in a fat suit,
It's
right?
exactly what it looks like. It's a 240SX in a fat suit. It's disgusting looking.
When we get apparel, we're definitely going to have a kooky front end Z31, 240SX in a fat suit. Carbitrage.
But I mean, they made 2 special editions. I will give you that the post facelift special edition was way cooler as far as mechanically. But they did the 50th anniversary edition, which was not of the Z car, but of Nissan. Really confusing. And that was in 1984. They put a wide body. It was gold and black, 2-tone. Had these like sawtooth wheels. Every option in the world was on it. Then you had the Shiro Special in the second half of the car's production, 1988. That one had beefy sway bars, performance tuning, a lot of like little things that just made it better.
Right.
It actually handled much more like a 90s car.
That sounds like the German mentality of evolutionary improvement.
Yeah, it's exactly
Fixing
what it
a
was.
bunch of little stuff that was really important altogether, which probably changed the car significantly overall.
Yes, it really did. I mean, the Shiro Specials, they went from having a clutch limited slip to a viscous limited slip.
Which a lot of people will hate on, but I gotta go to bat for the viscous LSD.
Really?
It's not my favorite. The Torson's my favorite just because it's a
Torsen is way better, yeah.
it's an amazing. We talked about this in interesting engineering a while back. One of our first interesting engineerings, and that thing is just fascinating how it works. But that stupid IX over there on the left, which I probably should have talked about, that has 2 viscous LSDs, and how those things work is just fascinating. And like for a street-driven car, way better, way better
Exactly,
than a
yeah.
clutch diff. For a
yeah.
racetrack, hell no. No.
And that, you know what, that's being used on the streets. So it's
Yeah,
like,
they're
who
not.
cares?
You're not going to a track with an IX.
I should state that the power that these engines made were very respectable for the time.
Sure.
200 horsepower for the pre-facelift.
That was the turbo, right?
Yep, turbo. 205 horsepower for the post-facelift. You have to understand the Corvette with the big hairy V8.
It's like 185.
No, that was the.
Or was it the Crossfire
These
era?
are Crossfire.
Oh, okay.
So you're only maybe 40 horsepower off from a Corvette.
Those were maybe 250 horsepower.
Yeah, well,
I bet
that's
they
what
weren't even
were.
that.
Yeah, they were about 245, 250-ish, depending on the year. But that's the thing is like
I thought the LT1 was 250 horse. Remember those 350?
there was 325,
Okay,
and then
alright. Yeah, you're
finally
right.
the Grand Sport was 375.
I wish I liked the C4 more.
So that's my favorite
I
Corvette.
want a ZR1.
I
Might get a ZR1.
I think you should.
Probably should
Be a
actually.
good decision,
Yeah,
actually.
in fact, screw that. Screw the Thema. Let's get a ZR1.
But yeah, I mean, like if you think about like the Ferrari 308 had about that much horsepower, about 220, 230-ish.
Yep.
Yep. So this is like right on the level with those.
With 2 fewer cylinders and more reliability.
2 fewer cylinders, significantly more reliable. You can fix it with a hammer. Great.
I will say about the VG30E, or DE
Yeah.
in this case, or sorry, ET?
This is E.
DT?
This is single overhead cam V6.
Right, but what's
Yes.
so it'd be ET.
Yeah, so ET is the single overhead cam
turbo.
electronic fuel injection turbo.
Yeah, okay. So that engine, you can actually, like you were saying, service and prepare it in the car.
Yeah.
Whereas the car we're going to talk about next, hell no.
Yes, we were going to have a conversation about that.
We will, because I'm actually going to start chiming in on the rest of these, because I actually have some input.
Yes. So, yeah, you had the. My favorite thing about this though is you had a voice, system, a voice warning system.
I remember.
So I'd tell you like the door is open.
And Ryan, what means were these voices recorded?
A tiny phonograph.
Exactly.
It's very cool.
The modules are actually super cool.
Yeah, the modules are really cool. And actually,
You can put them in any car too.
not only that, you can go to different countries and get different ones. So if you want to yell at you in
man.
German or French or something, you just need to buy one from Germany or France.
Kind of want to put that in my 30.
Yeah, it's really cool. You can get those from like Germany or France. You can get like the Korean one. Every market that these were sold in, they were specific to the
Gotta
language.
do German.
They were
so angry.
They were specific to the language.
I might have to look at this on eBay.
I would want to like find one from Czechoslovakia, and so like just like Russian people and German people who are in my car are both really confused. And they're like, what language is this?
I bet the Czech one is probably like recorded in a public venues. Like you're getting a bunch of ambient noise in the door chime.
There's like a train going by, like a horn beeping. Just terrible. But yeah, anyway, so they did there's like a ton of cool tech. I'm probably going to be writing an article on this car later on for Back to the 80s at some point.
I'm
but
shocked.
Yeah, I know, right?
I get cuts thinking about the visual design of this thing. The preface is fun.
It's just perfect. Oh, and by the way, it kicked ass at racing as well. Another one of those cars that's just really, really, really good. Bob Sharp Racing. Paul Newman raced it. 84, 85 showroom stock. It did really well. Scored Trans Am win overall in 1986. It was also the only Trans Am win for the 300ZX. The Z32 never won it. Yeah, and then Electromotive made a GTP ZX Turbo for IMSA GTP, which used Lola chassis VG30ET. Yeah, there's a lot of really good racing that they did. Now, the Z32, though.
Yeah, buddy. Now we're talking.
We are finally getting to it. The Z32, that was released 1989. It was designed by Isao Sono and Toshio Yamashita.
All I heard was Toshiba. Sounds good.
This one actually had a in-house designed convertible top. Now,
Not an ATS conversion?
as I say, ASC.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
ASC McLaren did do a convertible Z31. But yeah, this one had an in-house hardtop convertible. Or no, this is a ragtop convertible, actually.
It's a ragtop, yep. In fact, I saw one in
Yep.
traffic the other day coming down here.
Very cool.
Yeah, ragtop Z32s are pretty neat.
And they went to dual cam in the V6, which looks a lot better, but is not very fun to
Harder
work
to
with.
maintain.
Yes,
Yeah.
very, very difficult.
Yeah, the VG30DE and the DETT look pretty similar to the hood.
Now, this is my question for you.
Yeah.
Which one's more aerodynamic? The
do you mean?
Z31 or the Z32?
Are you factoring in frontal area with your drag coefficient?
What was the drag coefficient rated at when tested on a production vehicle?
Or are you talking just the drag coefficient number?
Yes, just the
It
drag
wouldn't
coefficient.
surprise me if it's a facelift Z31.
It is actually the pre-facelift Z31.
Yeah,
was
but
the
it
most
probably has a
aerodynamic.
bigger frontal area, so it probably actually isn't the most aerodynamic overall.
It was the Z31 is 0.3 versus 0.31, and it was both vehicles
Yep.
tested one after another.
Okay, so anyway, it's very impressive given how angular the styling is, but overall, the
Yeah.
Z32 is a more aerodynamic car due to its smaller
So,
frontal area.
Yeah, you
I love the Z32.
you really like this car
It's a
lot.
great car. I
And
almost
you know
bought
what?
one as my first car.
I like it too, and the only
Hmm.
reason I don't want to own one is how horrible the engine is to work on.
Well, if you get an NA, it's not bad. It's really like on the
NA.
VG30 DETT, the turbos being buried down where they are. Like
Yeah.
if you have a turbo issue, it's horrible.
Oh, it's really
It's like
awful.
almost everything's. It's like a Ferrari 355. Almost everything's an engine out procedure when you've got the turbo.
And that's kind of what my issues with the car is. You now suddenly it is awful to work with.
Well, you just got to
And
buy one that's had that done, and then be careful with it. But it is something you have to think about. Whereas on the
Exactly.
VG30ET, you really don't have to do that as much. But
It
the
sounds
Z32, in my opinion, looks much better. It is much higher tech. I know you're going to disagree on the looks.
No,
it's fine.
it is. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. The looks are fine. I think that as a '90s car, it looks really good.
But I mean, think about what was out there at the time. I mean, you were comparing it against a Mark III Super Turbo.
Well, yeah. So
when
all
it
right. So
launched.
in 1989,
Yeah,
it was compared to the Mark III
Super Turbo.
You had the you did have the well,
You
no,
had,
the
you had an
NSX.
FC Turbo.
Yeah, the FC Turbo. The NSX was
Not
depending-
really a
not
competitor due
really,
to
no.
price.
Not only that, it was also 1990, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, it was
Probably.
1990 was the first year of the NSX. And actually, the
should know
the,
that.
the NSX and the
That's true. The Turbo Z was a pretty expensive car.
they were
I mean,
comparable
nowhere
price.
near with like a 3000 GTVR4, which was similar in
Insane.
era, and
Yeah.
also the Mark IV Supra. Those were
And
both
those ones
really
were
expensive
all
cars.
the same kind of. Those were all released in the same year. The
Right.
Mark IV was a little bit later, but the Mark IV kind of cleaned up. Really
Right, but the
well.
whole thing with the Z30 and the C4 Corvette, yeah. The
And the
whole thing with
C4,
the Z32 Turbo, though, is like it came and it brought the same or better tech that you saw in the Mark IV Supra, the 3000 GTVR4 in a lot of cases, the FDRX7, even something like a ZR1 Corvette, not even just counting the LT11, which was kind of more similar in price, but it brought it to you years sooner. And
Yes.
as Scott keeps bringing up to me, and it's actually a fair thing to mention, I'm like, when the Z32 twin turbo launched, like it just cleaned house on comparisons.
Well, what it actually did, this is kind of a really big deal. There was a gentleman's agreement that was placed by all the Japanese manufacturers.
I wonder why that happened.
Because
Cars were getting too damn fast.
they limited it to 286 horsepower because
276.
276. 280 horsepower, 276, 280 PS.
DINSA, yeah.
It's weird.
We'll just call it 276.
Yeah, 276 horsepower, American horsepowers.
America.
But they did that because they didn't want there to be a government restriction,
Right.
like had happened with K cars, which actually did.
And they still found kind of a way around that.
Yes,
'cause
they
those
did.
are. Yeah.
And then they didn't want to get too expensive for them in house, and so they started just moving around and doing other stuff because these engines were designed to go into several different platforms. So if you make, if the 2JZ became crazy expensive to make because it was actually producing more power and everything.
Right.
Then now suddenly, everything that has an inline six is going to be super expensive.
Great.
to
Now
make.
the GS300 is super expensive,
And now
the
nobody
IS300
nobody can afford a Japanese car.
Right.
Cool. Now we are Italy, and that's what they were trying to avoid.
But so the VG30E I know was in like the Infiniti i30 and stuff like that. Was the DETT in any other car?
I'm gonna have to
think
look
so.
that up.
I
I
don't think it
don't
was.
think in America at least.
Well, definitely not in this country. But I'm curious if there's some like oddball Japanese car where that engine
Oh yeah,
just ended
I'm
up.
sure it was.
Was it in like the not the Soarer?
Wow,
but
no, it was literally.
just the
It was
300ZX
in
and the Fairlady Z.
the Fairlady Z and the 300ZX and the Mid 4 concept car.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, that was it. Well, because the RB26 was in everything else, and this
I
is kind
guess.
of just like a huge nightmare to have to deal with. But that's kind of another thing is that this is the only time a Z car's ever had a engine that was unique to just this car.
Yeah, it is a little surprising because the RB series engines were not only in production alongside the VG30D series engines, but they were also pretty well sorted out by then.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know if it would have fit in the engine bay though, because it's a pretty short bay in the Z32.
So, that just is the DETT, and that was a very unique engine because that would be put into performance cars.
Right.
The normal
Right. Yeah, the J30 had the regular.
The
NA one.
VG30DE was actually available in the Nissan Leopard, a ton of other things. I mean, there's the Nissan Leopard, the Infiniti J30,
Yep.
the Nissan Gloria, Cedric, SEMA. Like they put the actual NA version
Yep.
ended up on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
the 222 horse engine was in a lot of stuff.
They also made a single turbo DET.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that was
What was that in?
the Nissan Leopard, which is a very, very cool car.
Well, that's a horrible name, but okay.
And the Infiniti M30.
Yes.
That's that generation Nissan
Wow.
Leopard. Yeah.
I can't believe they made that engine that long.
Yeah, and they this engine came out way before. This engine came out in 1980.
Based on the VG30E. I mean, they just put new heads on it. It's
Well, you
like
could-
the 3VZ series engine for
and
Toyota.
this came out in '86, and actually in Japan, there's a variant of the Z31 that came with a dual vert cam version, which is very cool.
But the heads, I'm sure, were way different than the
No,
production
it
90s
was
heads.
no, it was the same. It was the same thing. It's just a different.
Oh.
They just didn't put the turbos on it.
Well, and variable valve timing, I can't remember what year that came into the VG30D series engines, but
It
that was a huge thing.
Yep, it was
really ahead of its time.
190 horsepower for the Z31 Japanese JDM variant, 222 for the
Z32.
production Z32. Different intake manifold, so that probably accounts for it. But yeah, the F31 Leopard that had the single turbo VG30DE, DET. That was actually the fastest Japanese car you could get until the Supra Turbo came out, and then that one took.
That predated the Mark III Super Turbo.
Well, no, yeah, that predated the Mark III Super Turbo.
Okay.
That was available for a year, and then the Mark III Super Turbo came out.
Sure.
And then
That sounds like Nissan's luck.
yeah, that won for 88 or 87 and 88, and then 89 the R32 GTR came out, and then it was just R32 all the way.
But I still got to harp back. I mean, in 1990, you could buy a twin turbo Z32.
yeah.
And like you could have it with Super Hikus, you could have it with, just a ton of horsepower. 300
it was-
horsepower was ridiculous at
It
the
was
time.
insane. Yeah,
And
totally
I mean, for
insane.
3 years, you had the king. Like, that thing wasn't touched for 3 years until the Mark IV Super came out, and then that was faster, but it still wasn't winning, like, handling comparos at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And this car was a very good car. And it
Still is.
we really have to talk about it. It looked like a fucking Ferrari.
It-
Like, it looked.
it
When
is
I was
a
a kid
really
and I
good
saw
looking
these
car.
cars,
Yeah.
every time I saw these cars when I was a kid, I lost my mind. And Lamborghini seemed to like it because I used the headlights on the Diablo.
I was waiting for it. I knew that the late Diablo comment was coming. Yeah, it's worth mentioning that the open headlight Lamborghini Diablos use Z32 headlights. Yeah, it's like the most plebeian poster car I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it really was. There were no shortage of performance variants. I'll be going over those.
I remember like the Jim Wolf Tech 396 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go over any of them right now because that'll take
Sure.
up
No,
an
yeah.
episode and a half.
We're already at a super
We're-
long episode, so whatever.
Anyway, Japanese economy crashes into the 90s. It sucks. The yen to dollar ratio went through the roof. This car was no longer affordable to buy, so they had to get rid of it.
Well, we stopped getting them in '96. So.
Yeah, and these like
Continued through
these
99.
died. They died at 2000, I think.
Yeah, it was 99 or 2000 in Japan.
Carlos Ghosn comes in, saves Nissan, makes a Z33, which is a huge revival, really good. VQ35 engine, really great engine for the era. That engine,
And honestly, a really high output VQ
Yeah.
at the time.
and
It's like
everybody,
287.
back in like 2008, everybody rated that as one of the best sounding engines that you could get. And now every Corvette V6 sounds like that. Nobody wants that engine.
Although
anymore.
I don't think it sounds particularly good, but then we compare it to the things like the Raptor engine
Yeah.
and like the VG30E. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Maybe it actually sounds okay.
Yeah, it's
It's distinctive.
It was a really, really good car for the era. The Z33 was a great car.
I lost
Like,
it after the Z33. right
and
when it came
the
out.
G35s as well. The
I hate
Skylines.
those.
But-
Those immediately were bought by idiots.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be talking about that in the next episode. But yeah,
Oh God, I didn't even see that.
that one.
This is going to be a very autistic week for
I'm
Carbitrage.
so sorry, everyone. But yeah, it was really, really good. They made it until 2008 when they made the Z34.
Yes.
No, it's 2010, I think. Actually,
No, it was
Here.
08 or 09.
I'm just gonna look it up on the.
Sounds good. Because I remember there was a Z4 comparison on Top Gear right when that 370Z came out, and it was over a decade ago. So it must have been
So-
08.
2008. Yep, it's 2008, and they're still making the Z34. And you know
I
what?
know. Ridiculous.
The Z-
Almost unchanged.
The Z34 was a massive improvement for it.
It was.
And that
in
was-
a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was way better. The keyword was because nowadays, I mean, 3,200 pounds was, that was hefty.
It was
then.
chonky at the
It
time.
was chonky at the time. It's real chonky now.
Yeah, now it's like less than 200 pounds heavier than a BRZ.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, this is all 11-year-old technology, and it kind of shows. I do like
Yes, but it's a car that's still on sale today, and it has hydraulic power steering,
yes,
manual transmission,
yes,
and an NA engine,
yes,
and rear-wheel drive.
yes.
I mean, I don't like the fact that they really let it die on the vine. It's almost like Fiat not redesigning the 500.
Well,
They're just like, well,
Fiat
here's a
500
classic car.
The Fiat 500 is designed because the original Fiat 500 is designed to last forever and just be in production unchanged.
And I get that,
And
but
this is a totally different thing.
it is.
This
It is a completely different thing. I was just trying to use it as a shitty
yeah.
metaphor.
No. This is like if Mazda just like designed the Miata in 2008, then never changed it from the NC.
What if they designed it as the NA and just kept like lightly tweaking it?
Well, that's fine. That's different because the NA is very good. This
NA
one
is incredible.
This one is just good for the era, and
have
now
to
it's
say,
getting long in the tooth.
I
And it's
saw-
got terrible taillights. Really
it
terrible.
does. They should have
taillights.
like, because that's like 2004 Nissan. Like that's just immortalized in the back of this 370Z.
Yeah, and
Like
now
the
it's-
Maxima when they released that. I remember with like
I
the
hate
really.
that. It's
Ugh.
disgusting.
It's like shitty makeup. It's like eyeliner.
It looks terrible.
I don't know.
So-
Yeah, it's just like bad mascara is what the 370Z reminds me of.
Yeah.
But the VQ37 much better than the VQ35. The
Yes.
transmission was better. I mean the
CD009s.
the CD009 is a really good trans.
That is the 6-speed that's available
It's
in
the
the
swap of
Z33.
choice. I
That-
mean, they're like $250 because they made a metric ass ton of them,
They
and they hold
are-
power like crazy.
They are 80% as good as the Super
would
Turbo's transmission. And
they're better than the V160 trans.
You really think so?
Because the V160 is a Getrag S6X 420 out of like the M5 and stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Yeah. They're strong.
They
but
hold a ton of power.
They hold quite a bit. They're not as strong as like the 5-speed BMW transes.
So then the CD009 is
I would
just
compare it to a
overall
Tremec 256.
Okay, that's a great
Yeah.
that's a great one. But yeah, no, that's the thing is it's on the world scale of best transmissions,
CD009's way up there.
it's up there. It's probably
For a
80,
six-speed?
80 to 90%.
If you're going to get a 5-speed, it's the BMW ZF 5-speed. If you're going to get a 6-speed, it's a CD009.
And that's the thing is like it's 80% of like the world's best transmission, and it is 100% the most prevalent transmission.
And also, they've extreme vetted this thing because it's been in production for like 20 years now.
Yeah, so they've gotten it right at this point. And yeah, that's where we are. We're still waiting to hear stuff. They keep saying they keep teasing us with like new trims and stuff.
I know.
We don't care.
As long as they don't turn.
Nobody cares anymore. Like,
remember that story last year where like the Z is coming back as a crossover?
oh god. That was bad.
Remember just like the
that.
blind rage of the internet.
Yeah, and then Mitsubishi actually did it.
I know. Which is what really kind of sets it home and makes me worry.
But yeah, anyway, so sorry for that super long topic.
Well, before we move on, what do you want to see from the next Gen Z car?
I would like to see a return of inline six.
Okay. Anything else?
Keep a manual,
Okay.
rear wheel drive only.
Yep.
Don't try to be something it's not. Make it
What?
a sports car. I don't want a GT,
So you're talking bespoke chassis.
bespoke chassis.
Okay.
I don't want a GT car.
You want a 2-seater?
I don't care how many seats are in it. I don't want a super luxurious, soft and whatever car.
Okay.
I want something that can compete with Miatas and
Yeah.
BRZs.
What's it up against?
I
these
want it
days?
to be smaller.
Its competition is really like maybe the Supra, maybe
want
the
it-
Z4.
I want it to be smaller because the Supra and the NSX.
That's
those
a good point. You want it
those
to be a
compete with
smaller.
the GTR.
So you want it to go down market a little bit
Yeah,
then?
I want it to go
Okay,
down market.
all right.
I think
but still a 6-cylinder.
Still 6.
And like a BMW B58 type of way?
No.
Or
I want
a
it.
Nissan?
I need a Nissan engine.
How about they just brought back the RB26 crate engine?
They're not gonna get that through emissions.
No, they won't.
We should say Ford sponsor or their factory GT program is dying or something. I don't care.
Well, it's worth mentioning. So
No, they're a dead company. Like
The-
it's like Buick
well,
stopping
they
racing.
got rid of all their cars, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's still worth talking about. So the Ford GT, the third gen, not
This is gonna
the
be a
original
2-hour
Le Mans race car.
episode.
Dude, it's fine. My topics take like 5 minutes. Yours take
right,
like 30.
I know.
You'll be
I'm sorry.
okay.
I'm really
You'll
sorry.
be okay. Anyway, let me pull up the link since that was an incredibly fast segue. The third gen Ford GT, the EcoBoost one, the 3.5 liter
The one they
flying
just put all the
buttress.
effort into.
Yeah, it's going to keep racing, but not as a factory-sponsored car at the end of 2019. So the reason why they did that is because they sponsored it for a couple of seasons. It did really well. They proved their point, and now they're pulling the plug because that's what Ford does. But you know that these cars are out there, and they're going to be campaigned in other series by other people.
I know. It's really the Ford says, "Oh, nobody wants to buy cars," and they put no effort into it. See, it's like if you, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're setting themselves up to fail. So they're saying like they're not trying to actually make it good. They don't care. It's just this is what Ford's like. So whatever.
I mean, it's a very technically excellent car. It's had a really good but brief racing history. So I get wanting to quit while they're high, and whatever, this and that. But just keep racing the damn thing. Just make more of them.
Well,
Put them into walls. I know it's
Ford's-
expensive, but
Ford really wants to be Buick. They're really jealous of Buick. So I think it's weird, but okay.
okay. I
Anyway,
think
I'm
your
not-
analogy is strange, but
I
it's
think
fine.
Buick, they used to be race and everything, and they stopped, and nobody cares about them anymore, but somehow they still exist. And that's what Ford wants to do, is they just want to do that. They just want to exist and make crossovers, whatever.
Trust us, it's a sports car.
No, it's not.
I know.
Show me.
I know.
Show me
I know.
why.
No.
Like-
Ugh. Yeah, it's at the automatic or the really high driving position.
Oh, God. Anyway, we should leave this in B. I'm sorry for taking up your entire
That's
day.
fine. Next one, I will. I
Episode
want to
99.
tell people. Yeah, 99 should be shorter, but it won't be looking at the notes. So.
At 99, well, we have just this, and I think we can probably throw in a couple other things, maybe.
Well, I mean, there's quite a bit below. Well, it'll be a surprise for you guys listening on the next episode. But
Yes.
thank you for joining us for 98. Stay tuned for 99 if you're on Twitch. It'll be coming just a few minutes. Otherwise, stay tuned for it later in the week. And next week, we will see you for episode 100, our celebration episode. So thanks, as always, for tuning in, and we will catch you soon here.